brown guy
He real fine.
Goes digging for gold in her blouse, and Dr. Nye is giggling at this, which is a wild thing to watch as well. She's like, "Oh, do you want to take me to dinner first?" And he almost takes her up on it.
Is digging your titties looking for a microphone.
Hello, you're watching or listening to Black Bi Reality, a place for Black Bi baddies and those who love us. Today we're talking about And Just Like That, Season 2, Episode 3. Now introducing my Che Diaz hater co-host, Aramide Tinubu. Hi, Aramide.
Hi, Nicole. Yes, I stick behind it. I'm the Che Diaz she girl hating club.
No.
The president of it. Because but we'll get to that. We'll get to that and how, Che can stay themselves right over there in Los Angeles. It will stay in New York where things are much better.
Oh, okay. We shall see. Going into the beginning of this episode, we see Carrie walking down the street, strutting her stuff, and Lisette, who lives in her building, flags her down. We find out that she is designing some new jewelry for Bulgari, and Carrie tells her that she's on her way to go record audio for her new book. So both of them seem to be on a high. And this move for Carrie career-wise makes a lot more sense.
Definitely. I'm so glad they got rid of that podcast because it was just hanging on. And I was so happy to see what it said again because I thought it was really clever last season when you kind of could see how this 20-something and Carrie's in her 50s now, how they're navigating two different directions of their life. So I just thought I was just glad to see the character. It made more sense and it kind of grounded Carrie back into like who she is and what she's doing at this point in her life, moving back into this apartment she hasn't lived in 10 years. I loved it personally.
Yeah, agreed. Next, Seema's also on the street waiting for her car. All of a sudden, someone knocks right into her, grabs her bag with a quickness. She's yelling at everyone to stop him, including two elderly women. Seema, what were those two elderly women supposed to do for you?
Get her Hermes, get her Birkin, okay? It was such a comical scene because it very much gave that scene from Sex and the City when Carrie, I think it's a Fendi baguette that she gets stolen, when she's like in that side corner. It really gave that, but this is like a very important, it might seem ridiculous, but it's a very important bag for Seema. It's the first bag that she bought, like a big designer bag she bought when she got her first big sale. And I think a lot of times, like it reminded me of the episode of Sex and the City when Carrie goes to that party and they steal her new shoes, and she like makes the woman like repay her for the shoes because single women go to baby showers and bridal showers and all this, and we're kind of looked down upon for the things that we purchase for ourselves, but we work hard for that shit and we deserve to have it. Anything, though Birkins are dead ugly, they're hideous bags, like please. It was a much more of a sentimental thing for her, for sure.
Yes, and the one person she calls when she's in the car looking around for either the guy who robbed her or just her bag lying on the ground, because she's like, in the old days they would just throw that bag and take the wallet. So that's what I'm hoping for. Carrie, obviously she can understand, but it's a wild conversation. Meanwhile, LTW and Charlotte are at their kids' school. There's a whole meeting, and we find out that Miranda connected LTW to Naya, so our Black characters are finally going to meet. And also, the students at the school made a MILF list.
They did. And of course, like, I was actually kind of shocked. Charlotte was very pressed to see this, but also, like, it kind of works for Charlotte. So both LTW and Charlotte, like, we have to see who's on this MILF list, like, what's going on, what's happening. But I am really excited to see LTW and Naya, like, meet, because I think some of the issues within Just Like That are that all the characters are always separated, and it's too much to follow in 45 minutes. So
yes,
pulling them all together makes a lot more sense. For
it
sure.
does.
And
It
we were
does.
just asking where LTW's new girlfriends were last last week. So here we are.
This is true. I think it's a little out of character for Charlotte because I feel like she was always like the prim and proper one when all the girls were like gossiping and yeah, I would think she would be like, "Oh, this is so inappropriate. This is a huge problem." Where someone like Samantha would be like, "Ooh, I want to get on that list." Like, honey. But this is a different Charlotte apparently. So next, Carrie is in the studio reading her memoir. We find out it's about Big dying. I can't believe she wrote this thing so fast.
It's definitely a lot of TV magic because never. And it's really devastating, actually. She's trying to get through, like, it's the third chapter, and it's about when she found him on the bathroom floor, like, dying of his heart attack. And she
Mm-hmm.
can barely talk about it, get through it. It's really a horrible thing to watch. And it's like this grief just bubbles back up. Like, she's been doing well, going through the motions, but clearly she's not as far along as she thought she was. And I thought it was just such a good representation of grief. Like, you can be going along and then you'll smell something or you'll hear something or you hear some music. Someone sounds like the person. I once thought I saw my mother. It was very bizarre. Like, and unless you've been through grief, you won't get it, but it was so well done, I thought. And it's such an important topic, I think, to understand who Carrie is now in this stage of her life.
Absolutely. And I don't think it's really kind of an aspect of life that the show has been able to tackle before. So it's good that we're seeing this. She talks about, yeah, finding Big in the shower and struggles to make through it. She tries to make cuts to like try and skip. But yeah, we'll obviously be seeing this problem for the rest of the episode. Back in California, Che and Miranda are having breakfast and they're running lines together. Che is skipping the crying in the scene, which made me think back to Carrie. Like, once again, those two characters' storylines seem oddly similar with their work. And Miranda's just like, I think you need to cry. and she's like, no. That's just a suggestion. But Che does bring up a really good point of like, I don't want to cry about coming out non-binary because it's actually something that I find a joyous thing and not something devastated over. So that's also just another clash between Che and these writers. And we also find out Miranda has a new phone after losing it on the beach. And it's Android takes a hit in this episode.
As it should, because first of all, why are you at the T-Mobile or AT&T store convincing a woman of a certain age to transfer from iPhone to Android? Like, I can't. I'm 30 something, and I can't go from iPhone to anything. I can't even use a PC at this point. We're seeing like that Chase having a really challenging time in Hollywood. Like, their sitcom isn't quite panning out how they wanted it to, and so much of the writers, what the writer wants is kind of usurping what Che wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And also because she has a new phone, Miranda feels like that she hasn't heard from Brady, like he's ghosting her, like he's mad at her about something. But I was just glad to hear that, like, and I don't believe like, oh, as a woman, your identity is like your kids, but like Brady, he's a little douchebag, but he exists. And like, she birthed him and we ain't heard nothing about the boy for 3 whole episodes. So I'm glad that he came back up in this
Yeah,
episode.
same. Dr. Naya is filming for LTW's documentary, and apparently there's a mic issue, a sound issue, and Brian, the sound guy,
He real fine.
goes digging for gold in her blouse, and Dr. Naya is giggling at this, which is a wild thing to watch as well. She's like, "Oh, do you want to take me to dinner first?" And he almost takes her up on it, and in the end, she's like, "What's up with your sound guy?" And LTW is like, "Yeah, he doesn't do that to everyone." Which, as the boss, shouldn't she be having a word with him about that? But in the end, Dr. Na's like so intrigued by this that LTW is like, "Look, I'm gonna give him your number and you can figure it out, even though you keep saying, you got a husband and you're separated."
Yeah, her husband. But I'm glad that she did say she's separated from Andre Rashad because I'm tired of him and his double name, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, as someone who's been mic'd multiple times, you're never mic'd through the front of your shirt as a woman. You're mic'd through the back. They hook it onto the back of your bra strap. Is digging in your titties looking for a microphone. It was such a bizarre thing, like very comical. The man was very delicious, very fine.
Absolutely.
But even still, no one wants you to go rooting down in your titty juice, like especially if it's been warm outside. Like
Nah, nah, nah,
take it down several notches.
nah. Un
He could have just said she smelled good or something. I don't know. This is a bit much.
exactly. It was everything about it was so off the wall. But once Dr. Naya finally hits the sheets with somebody, I think it's gonna be like an explosion or something because Homegirl is so thirsty.
She
So
wound
thirsty.
up.
Exactly. Exactly. Carrie and Charlotte are having lunch, which was nice to see. And Carrie talks about her book and recording it. Charlotte's like, "Oh, I'll be there anytime to support you," which is so lovely. But Carrie kind of dodges that offer. LTW and Dr. Naya join them. So we finally get four ladies around the lunch table. It is feeling like the old days, Aramide.
Definitely. I loved, first of all, Charlotte. As much as we give her slack, I feel like Charlotte's the most consistent character through both shows. And
Mm-hmm.
she's such a good friend. She really is. Even though she might not understand you or might not be her point of view, she always shows up. Even when she's falling apart, she showed up for Carrie last season when she was planning Big's funeral. So it was so nice, but I also felt very much like I often don't feel in line with Carrie. Like I'm not a Carrie person. I'm more of like a Miranda Samantha hybrid, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
Carrie is like me in that you don't want to be a burden to your friends. Like you don't want to dump your issues on your friends necessarily. But it's clear that something's going on here. And I was so glad that Charlotte recognized, like, hey, like, I'm not Samantha, but I can be a helping hand. Like I'm a mother, like I can be that motherly presence that you might need at this time, even if you don't want to accept it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like, Charlotte did the right thing of just offering the help. It's really up to that person, though, to take them up on it.
Mhm.
So, and that seems to be the whole journey for Carrie this episode. Once everyone is there, they start talking, and LTW gets the list of MILFs. And our girl, Charlotte, is number 3, LTW is number 2. Um, wild that they're like so hyped about this.
I hate this storyline, and we'll get to why. But that's all I'll offer here because it was kind of funny at first. Ooh, it gets real bad.
It gets bad, and
Real.
no one's the voice of reason in this situation. Like, usually they let Charlotte counterbalance,
Mhm.
but she's not even there for that this time. So we are just all out of whack. Dr. Naya does try to pull a Miranda though, and she's like, maybe we should be talking about politics or like green initiatives, but then she gets a text from Brian and freaks out, which is so Miranda.
Mhm.
So looks like things are moving forward there. Carrie goes back to work in the studio and she's again showering. Or no, she's
I'm like showering.
read she's showering. No. She is reading the book about the shower scene, and this time we actually hear the running water. We get close in on her head. It feels very claustrophobic and uncomfortable, which was, I think, a great staging of all of this. So yeah, in the end she started crying and she was like, you know what, this is unprofessional, let's just skip chapter 3, and the sound guys agree.
Yeah, it was just really, really sad to see her. And I can't imagine, I see why they wanted her to read her own audiobook, but I can't imagine why they would want it to do it so quickly. I mean, she wrote the book very quickly. It was just really sad. It was really sad to see. And ugh, like I've been there, it just sucks
It
real
does
bad.
suck. um Carrie walks out and finds Mitzi? Mitzi, right?
Mitzi from the original
Mitzi.
show. Yes.
Yes. Mitzi just got her upper lips waxed, y'all, and she's just like, how's the book going? I already got it pre-ordered. This is something that is going to be so good for other widows. And Carrie was real about it, was like, I feel like I should be farther along. It's the second year, but like I'm going through it. And Mitzi's like, look, the second year is actually the worst because your time is passing, like your person is missing things. But I love the quote that she gives Carrie, and it's the hole never fills, but life grows around it. And Mitzi's advice is do whatever you need to feel better.
Yeah, I thought that was such good advice. And I think that's the thing about grief. People expect you, and you expect yourself to be able to move past it. And eventually it becomes like not the first thing you think about in the morning, but you don't know how the day is going to go. And it's like Mitzi says, like, you're experiencing all these new things and he's not here. And that is a lot. It's very heavy. So I thought that was really sound advice. It was also really funny just to see this super throwback character who, if you recall, was married to this guy that Carrie always assumed was gay. That's a different story, but I just loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it's great that Carrie has at least one person who knows what it's like. Yeah. So what does Carrie do to feel better? Go shoe shopping. She walks right in
Period.
the apartment with all them bags.
Right. When I tell you that she ripped the floor down at Bergdorf, because I don't, I'm a shoe girl. I don't have carry big funds. But I recognize some $1,200 away they balloon sandals that I covet real bad. So but I'm talking about, she had boxes, like she had at least 10 pairs of shoes, and they were sickening. And I said, yes, I'm supporting.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yes, and with that, she puts on a pair of shoes and sits down and she opens the book, saw the biggest paperclip I've ever seen, and she tries to read the chapter that she couldn't get through without crying. And she was like, immediately no. Picked up that phone, called Gary. She said, Gary, I'm sick. I got COVID. And so just get an actor to do it. Hangs up, and this girl thinks she's slick.
I don't blame her at all. I mean, I've never used COVID as an excuse. I actually only recently got COVID at the end of last year. I was very pissed. But I understand her sentiment. Like sometimes you just want to COVID was not a great time for anybody, but in some ways the world stopped, and sometimes you need the world to stop or slow down a little bit. And that's what I think she was trying to get at. Like she's like, I don't want to do this shit. I want to just do my face mask, wear my shoes, and not deal with life for the moment. And that's fair. And I think that everyone deserves a little bit of that.
A mental health day or week.
Exactly.
A grieving week. All of the things. Miranda, she just went in to get this Android lookout, comes out, and there's a tattoo shop right next door. She said, let me fix this whole virgin arm scenario I got going on, and goes inside. She starts talking to this tattoo artist. She must have been talking his ear off, because we find out he knows her whole life of previously being a lawyer, and he in the end tells her, you need to get something that will make you feel connected to yourself. Aramide, do you have any tattoos?
No, I don't actually. I'm very, very melanated as a human being, and it would seem like a waste of time because my melanin would fight it and it'd be faded tomorrow.
Got it. I don't have any either. Like, it's on the to-do list. But yeah, another thing that me and Miranda have in common. So Miranda goes out. She does exactly what I would do too, is that she calls Carrie to talk about this tattoo decision. But Carrie's like, girl, this does not sound like a good look. I'm worried about you. Bring your ass back to New York. And Miranda's like, no, it's pretend life here in California, which is interesting choice of words. Carrie lies again about having COVID. Um, yeah, what did you think of this exchange?
So Miranda sounds so unhinged that Carrie literally asked her, like, "Are have you like joined this Church of Scientology? Because like you sound crazy." And it's
Yes.
true, and it's so crazy because Miranda's always been someone to confront things head on. So the fact that she's like running away, and I get it, she was obviously terribly unhappy with Steve. Like meeting
Mm-hmm.
Che made her have a different understanding of who she was, her sexuality, what it is that she wanted to do. And so I
Mm-hmm.
get that, but it's also like, okay, you've done this, like you've had your little summer of fun. Let's put on
Mm-hmm.
our big girl panties and figure the fuck out. Like I'm very much someone who like I can't I can't like relax unless my shit is handled, if that makes sense. So I can't relate to the
Yeah.
procrastination. It's like I can't like I'm not about to sit outside with my titties out trying to enjoy the sun when my life is crumbling and I need to pay my rent. Like I know the rent has to be paid first and then the titties can have fun. Like that's just kind of how I operate in my day-to-day life. So I get
Yeah.
it, but like girl, and also like you do all this for Che and they don't even really care about you like that.
Ooh. As everyone knows, well, anyone who has listened to this podcast or watched this podcast knows I have been team Che and Miranda for a second, but this episode I am wearing black. I have a black dress. It's a funeral for me. Um yeah, we're going to get to all that, but yeah, it's just very interesting that she does not consider her life in California as real.
Mhm.
Um so next Charlotte ends up calling Carrie because Miranda told Charlotte that Carrie has COVID. Like Charlotte does the greatest thing. She's already busying herself in the kitchen trying to make things for Carrie, send things over. Carrie's like, oh, this lie might have gone too far. But it doesn't stop there because Seema, she later is at home. She's looking at Birkins online. She's missing that old thing that she had. And, you know, I this storyline was like, oh, this is Charlotte all over again from literally the last episode. What are we doing like turning around these storylines so quickly?
Like I this could have been done much more cleverly, just like the episode when Samantha throws herself of I'm fabulous and I don't have a baby shower, or the episode when
Mm-hmm.
Carrie makes her friend buy her some new Jimmy shoes or whatever the shoes are. This I got what it was, it just wasn't well done. In
Yeah.
my opinion. So like yeah, like I get it. Seema's not about to pay another 10 stacks on top of the 10 stacks she paid originally for this Hermes bag. But
Mm-hmm.
there just could have been a better way that this was done. Some type of
Yeah.
way. Just not this way.
I agree. Like she could have like gone to a store and like we could have at least reenacted the ridiculousness in trying to get a Birkin because it's
Mhm.
like you can't ask or something or like
But I don't even
there's a
think it's
whole
like that
song and dance.
anymore. It used to be
Okay.
like that. It used to, and
Okay.
they have an episode of like that on Sex and City, but I think now it's literally just, it used to be like a $10,000 bag. Now it's like a $20,000 bag because of
Mm-hmm.
inflation. And
Mm-hmm.
them bags is ugly, y'all. Please don't buy it. Oh, girl.
Yes. Some
So,
things are
yeah,
just status symbols.
exactly.
So Seema goes to meet with Anthony for lunch. And apparently Carrie was supposed to go to lunch with them, but then was like, oh shit, I forgot I have fake COVID. And so that's how Seema finds out about
Mhm.
this.
And so Seema like goes to Carrie's apartment after this, which I also love the fact that they're like trying to figure out what to do with Anthony. It's not working
Mm-hmm.
yet, but they're trying to bring him
Mm-hmm.
into the fold. But Carrie like is like in her face mask, like doing what she wants to do, and Seema shows up to her house in a Louis Vuitton mask, which would do, as we now know, does nothing for anyone. And when she sees Seema, and I think Seema has like some lunch or something for her, she's like, yeah, like I don't actually have COVID. Like I just couldn't do life for a second, which I thought was
Yeah.
like so real. And it really showed me that like they're really slotting Seema into the Samantha role because this is exactly what Samantha would have done. and how
Yes.
Carrie would have responded to Samantha showing up to her house.
Yeah. Yeah. And Seema's like, look, if you need to go to bed, fall apart, do it. Carrie says she's not take to the bed type, but it's like, Carrie, you were in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
You were on your honeymoon, that you were there with your girls. Like, I'll never forget. First of all, I saw the first movie before seeing the show.
What?
Yes, yes. So my friend in high school was like, yeah, I want to go see a Sex and the City movie. Let's all sneak in. Snuck in, got caught because of a hater that went to our school working the shift. So then had to call my mom. Then she got a ticket so we can all sit in for the rest of the movie. And I remember very vividly the scene where Carrie goes into the bathroom and turns on the light after being in bed for so long. There was gasp.
Because she looked crazy.
They were shooketh in that
She
theater.
looked crazy. She looked so crazy. And no, she is. And I'm thinking back to that, like, and I'm actually rewatching the show now. I'm on season 3. After Big gets married to Natasha. And it's so funny to see, because when she starts the show, she's 32, which is my age, which is really, really wild. And now she's in her 50s. But you see like the progression of that. And you see what she goes through with Big. And in that first film, like, her beating his ass in the fucking middle of the street with her bouquet. Like, her behavior has always been a little bit unhinged. We'll give that to Carrie. But Big is awful. And then and that's why when he told her, excuse me, that he was moving to Paris out of the blue sky, she threw a fish fillet at his head.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite episodes, because it's what he does.
You know what? Now that we put all of that together, it's like, oh, there was like violence in this relationship repeatedly. Like, this was not good. A bit ratchet. Another wretched thing that has come up in this series. LTW and Charlotte are back at the school. All right. The moms are in the hallway kikiing about this MILF list, and they're throwing out names of who possibly is behind it. And they're like, it could be Milo. Sometimes it's the nerdy ones. Well, Milo opens up the door and walks through like, nerdy where? Nerdy who? My teenage ass is gonna walk down this hallway like it's a runway, and for some reason, look all of you dead in your faces, and all of them are shook for some reason, visibly, just no shame at all. And what
this whole storyline made my stomach hurt so bad. Like, I hated it. And this would have worked maybe 15 years ago if they had have done like a joke and slotted in a fully grown man, like had fucking Chris Evans dressed like a teenager or something. I don't know. But this was awful. Like, I don't know how it made it through the writer's room. I don't know how it didn't. It was so uncomfortable. It was so gross. And they're like these grown ladies lusting after this like he's not prepubescent, but he was like this little slimy boy. And you know, boys smell real bad in the high school. It was an absolute the F not for me.
Ugh. No, thank you. No, thank you to any of this. It's not flattering. And like, does no one see them? Like, honestly, we do find out actually in the next scene. Someone saw them, because the principal on stage at the parent meeting is like, so there's moms here objectifying a teenager, and Charlotte and LTW like play dumb, like, what? After they were saying that this same teenager doesn't need to be punished because, you know, they
didn't
think
mean harm.
They think it's so cute that this MILF list was made and that they're on it.
But like, have the genders been, this is what I'm talking about, like, this is so gross.
Yeah.
Like, have the genders been reversed? Like, people wouldn't want to shut up the school. Like,
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This is not okay. Like, I don't know who came with this storyline. This was bad. They don't talk.
We need to get back to what Charlotte's character would have been, because this is very un-Charlotte of her. Meanwhile, Miranda, she's in line for Che's taping of their sitcom, and she calls Brady finally. She gets him, and Brady's freaking out. He said Lisa broke up with him, left Amsterdam, so he is just running around being a very tragic redhead. And he's like crying on the street. He almost gets run over. And he's like, maybe I should be run over. And Miranda's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? She said, no, 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 no. She's like, get your ass to the hospital and then call me. What did you think of this scene?
So I love this scene. Like, first of all, poor Brady, like, even though he was an asshole last season, he needed his
Yeah,
ass whooped. He had been calling his mama for God knows how long, and this lady ain't been picking up the phone for him. So he's like distraught. She's like, "Oh, did you call your dad?" And he's like, "Yeah, but what the F is Steve gonna do? Like, you're the get about it, get to it individual." So she's
absolutely.
feeling like so horrible that she's basically like a neglectful parent. Like, yes, he's a grown man, but like
Yeah,
the boy has been in distress. Like anything could have happened to him, and you wasn't picking up your phone.
yeah.
So instead of doing the rational thing, which would be like, I don't know, stepping away from the taping, or I don't know, putting your phone on silent,
Mm-hmm.
this girl does not do that.
No, no. She lies to the security person, goes into the taping. Um, Her phone goes off because now her son is FaceTiming her. And this is after Che gets through the emotional scene with Tony Danza, is actually crying. So BD's like so excited. Yeah, and BD goes off on Miranda when Miranda says, my son's in crisis. BD's like I'm in crisis. Like this is crisis because I have a star here, meaning Che, who's not an actor, and you messed the whole flow up of this. They're a stand-up. And so now Che's humiliated. Because why would you say that? Why would you say that in front of people that you're hoping to watch your show one day?
It was awful. I knew this was going to happen, but it was just so awful. It was something Miranda would do because she's trying to balance two lives
Mm-hmm.
that aren't merging appropriately. But again, had she put it on vibrate or silent, none of this would have ever happened. Or had she said, like, okay, I'm going to put Brady before Che at this instance, which I get why she wants to be there for Che. Like, clearly they're really having a challenging time. And we see that also because the guy that's kind of there to rile up the audience, like keeps misgendering Che, and like it's just a
Mm-hmm.
very, and it
It's a
is a lot.
hostile work environment,
It
honestly.
is.
Let's
It really is. And they have like worked themselves up to be able to cry and do all of the things that they didn't even think they were capable of. And Miranda's
mm-hmm.
like trying to explain herself, but it's like, girl, like you effed up. But it didn't
Effed
have to
up
be
real
like
bad.
this.
No, it didn't. Because I don't even think Che would have been the type to be like, you have to be there for my live taping.
Right.
Like, if anything, Che's been like, don't come to my work stuff. Like,
Like, don't come around me. I hate you, essentially, is what Che was saying. But
I mean, is it I hate you or it's like I'm not feeling confident? I'm not feeling like I'm at a 10 that I would want you to come and see me like this. Like, you know?
sure, you're a Che apologist.
I guess. I guess. Um, yeah. So Carrie's lie ends up backfiring. She gets a call and they're like, we're not gonna get an actor. We're gonna give you an extra week instead. You're gonna come in the studio and you're gonna read this book yourself because this is your memoir, and who else is going to do it like you? Um, so yeah. Next, Miranda calls Charlotte and tells her that she's flying home, and so is Brady. So our girl's coming back, y'all.
Mhm. She's
It
trying
needed
to
to be
meet
done.
him. Yeah, she's trying to meet him before he gets off the plane from Amsterdam or wherever he's at. And of course, she calls like her fellow mom friend. And it's important. Like it's important I think just Charlotte's basically like, yeah, like that's what you need to do. Essentially, like you need to be there
Mm-hmm.
for your kid. And I'm just glad that it's not something that Miranda wrestles with and something that she's like, no, like I've been MIA and
Mm-hmm.
let me get it together.
Yeah, absolutely. We see Che leaving the studio to like go to hair and makeup or something. Miranda finds her and apologizes. She tells them that Brady, is really upset, was talking about like wanting to die over the phone. So, she needed to talk to him. And now, because he's so distressed after this breakup, she's going to be leaving to New York to be with him. And Che is like, it's a breakup. Like, it's a teenager breaking up. Why are you doing the most? You shouldn't be leaving LA. And Miranda's like, this is my son. So it's not any teenager.
I mean, this is why I personally choose not to date people with children because I want to be number one. But also, I get why Che was upset with Miranda because she did ruin their like whole thing. But it was so gross and so insensitive, and I felt so vindicated like about my disdain toward them because it was just such a nasty thing to say. And it's like this woman has been nothing but caring to you, like
Mm-hmm.
on Miranda, like running around, sniffing your dirty drawers. And this is what she literally told you that her child is in crisis. And
Mm-hmm.
you said poo poo to that. So I say sorrows and sorrows to prayer and prayers to you. Huh.
Us bisexuals, we are down bad. Down bad. I yeah, I can get over there's a lot of things about this that's like so bad, but I also can get over that Che literally raised their voice at Miranda in this situation. Like, yeah, this is terrible. And Miranda's the one that's like, can we please not leave on a bad note? And Shay's just like, I really do hope everything's good with Brady, which is like, thanks. That could have been like the first thing you said. And yeah, like now we don't know where this relationship is. Like it's
Hopefully in
gonna
the bin where it belongs, in the bin, in the loony bin, in the trash bin, in all the bins. Close it hot.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it just showed me that like Che has no emotional maturity because obviously we've all been disappointed by our partners at one point or another by things our
Mm-hmm.
partners literally could not control, like their loved one being in crisis
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the case may be. And so yeah, I may have wanted to go to Red Rooster for a date night, but that's not how the cookie is crumbling. So I could have felt the way about it internally and be like, how can I help you? How can I support you? But Che is such a selfish individual, and they very much give big energy that they couldn't even reciprocate that and couldn't even see like that Miranda has literally been hobnobbing across Los Angeles, a tragic city, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to help them feel better about this debut they're having in Hollywood. I thought it was just so gross and so nasty and poo poo to them.
It is giving actor though.
Yes.
Like there's certain jobs, not that I've ever been in a position to date any of these. There's certain jobs though that I'm just like no for a partner, and like actor is one of them because this is the kind of thing that is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Carrie. So Carrie goes to Lisette's event with Seema. Everything's looking nice, but then this man is just shame. He's not even hiding it, y'all. He's wearing a nice suit, but that suit must have so many pockets because the way he was just taking all this jewelry and like stuffing it in, and both Carrie and Seema are like, is this happening? Like, what's going on? And Carrie decides she's going to help Lisette, who is just shouting security. Carrie's just like, I have COVID. Everyone scrambles. I sadly don't have much faith in humanity that actually anyone would move after Carrie
No,
yells
this is
that.
New York. This is New York. I think COVID has ran through us real bad, real
Sure
bad.
did.
Most
Sure
of us have
did.
had it, if not once, at least twice. Um, it wasn't funny at all because this is a devastating moment for poor Lisa, who's like worked her tail off for this. But it was such a like New York moment where you finally think you've put in your foot in the right peg, and it's not actually a peg; it's actually like a hole, and you fall through it and crack your back.
Mm,
It was so like a 20-something things that happen to you when you think you reach a pinnacle and you don't. But it also Seema and Carrie's reaction, like if you've ever seen something completely wild, like I've seen a lot of wild stuff in the subway where you're like, wait, is like that an actual penis? And is that man like jerking? Like you don't, your brain is taking too long to actually catch up to what's happening
yeah.
to do anything.
Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
me, like, yeah, like why are we having fine jewelry on display in the middle of Bryant Park?
Well, it's part of like the fashion week or something. I don't know.
Sure, but like let's put it in a secure venue, not in these like COVID
Hmm.
igloos. Um
Yeah, they really were what popped up during COVID. That was wild. But Seema, after a while of processing, she was like, you know what I got? She pulled out her little lighter that's shaped like a gold gun. He books it, which is like, you did all of this and you didn't have a gun yourself. Like that was the true risk because he could have easily been like,
stick them
whatever.
up.
But yeah, it was only a lighter. Um, and yeah, Seema is once again the baddest of them
She
all.
But she does it too late because poor Lisa, all her jewelry is gone, everything that she's crafted and worked for.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a real bad for her.
Very much sucks. Um, yeah. So we then see Miranda's back in New York. Brady's back. They meet at the apartment. He immediately breaks down crying and they embrace. And Brady says something that's pretty key. He says everyone is breaking up.
Mm. Yeah, he does say that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Brady is not okay with this divorce or
Mm-hmm.
separation, really.
It's a lot because I think for a kid, like as someone who's lived with in a two-parent household who's very unhappy,
Mm-hmm.
Steve and Miranda weren't that type of unhappy. They were just
No.
complacent. They were just friends. So for Brady, even though he's an adult, it's like, but y'all was just watching Dateline and eating
Mm-hmm.
whatever they would do that was real boring and they wouldn't have sex. But to him, that was a normal thing. And no one was fighting or screaming or yelling or anything like that. So it's
Yeah.
very upsetting. And you know, you think you go off to college or go to the world, you always have kind of like this home to come back to, and that's not there for him. Like he literally was calling his mama halfway across the world, and this lady wouldn't even pick up the phone for him.
Sure
It's too
wasn't.
much.
Too much. So we'll see where this goes. Next, Seema is back in the car. This girl is either getting in the car, getting out of the car. That's a lot of her scenes. But she gets out to walk, and she bends down to pet a dog. We find out Seema's a dog person, so another plus, another plus.
Period.
And because of her good deed of loving dogs, she finds her purse under a little bush.
She does. First of all, shout out to Seaman because really having a driver is goals in New York. But she sees her crumpled up Birkin, looks like it's been rained on it. She's gonna have to take it to a leathery, I think that's the wrong name for it, but the guys who fix up your shoes and your purses, but it's there. And obviously the thief didn't know like the value of the purse. And
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately when they stole Carrie's bag, they knew that it was like an expensive bag and they just didn't steal. Like stealing your card is nothing. You can lock your cards. You
Yeah,
can get them replaced, but the bag itself was what she was concerned about.
absolutely. So good for her. In the end, Carrie goes to Lisette's place with a box of chocolates. The best way to pick someone up, I think. And Lisette's in bed, understandably, just like, wow, all of my work is gone, and I guess
Mhm.
I have to start all over. And Carrie's like, I feel you on that. Actually, let me hop up in this bed with my outside clothes on.
That was a bit much. We'll give that to TV Magic. But I
Mhm.
will say, I thought that was such a sweet moment. Just say, like, I see you, I feel you, and you don't have to get up right now. Like, and that's what she essentially tells us. Like, she's like, no, you're allowed to feel like this is unfair and really shitty, and we can just lay here and just
Mhm.
be upset and feel sorry for ourselves. Like, you're allowed to do that.
Yeah. And she was just like, we don't have to get up now. Like, eventually. So I think Carrie and Lisette is taking this little break, which is so nice. But, you know, she does get back up. She goes back in the studio. She reads through it just fine for her chapter. So Carrie is moving forward. And after that, she celebrates by going out with Seema for some drinks. They're
Mm-hmm.
at a place that does communal tables, which I can't remember if I've gone to a place in New York with communal
We
tables like
had, but we ate
this.
outside. We went to
Oh,
um where's it? Jacob's Pickles. They have communal
yes.
tables inside, and
Okay.
actually, the last time I went inside and did that, like both me and my partner got terribly ill. So don't like it
Ooh.
was like November, so it could have been like the flu or something. We
Yeah,
both
yeah,
got
yeah.
dog sick. So yeah, I'm not a fan of communal tables. Like,
No,
I don't
no.
want to sit like
Yeah.
it's already New York. We're already like let's
Yeah.
yeah.
But we find out it's an Australian rugby team and they end up talking up Carrie and Seema and who knows where that's going to go. I think Seema would end up hooking up with one of the rugby players. I don't know if Carrie would at this point.
I think they were just like having a chatty moment,
Yeah.
and like very reminiscent of like the Sex in the City. Like, you just life goes on. It was like reminiscent of like life goes on. There are always people coming in and out of the city. You never know who you're going to meet. But it was
Yeah.
a semblance of like, okay, Carrie's time in bed is done, and she's ready
Yes.
to move forward again.
Yes. So interesting. So that's the
Oh, and she
episode.
gets COVID for real at the rugby
Oh,
table. At the end, she's like, and just like that, I got COVID, like for real.
but I thought that meant like I don't know.
You got to admit, like a symbolic thing. I thought she actually got COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do y'all
Maybe.
think?
I don't
Y'all
know.
tell us, because I was confusion then.
Totally. Cause yeah, I didn't think of it that way. Yeah. So what are we? How are we feeling? I'm a little bit in mourning, but you know what comes with this Che and Miranda breakup is that she is back in New York, which I'm ready. I'm ready for all of our girlies to be meeting up and have new hijinks. And like, I'm ready for like new possibilities, new lovers for Miranda because Che's not the only one out there.
Period. No, I
Period.
agree. Like, I think this is like the actual start of season 2. Like, those first 2 episodes is kind of like, okay, what is this? This felt very much like pulled together. They could have kept that MILF storyline. I don't ever want to talk about it again. It was horrible. But the rest of it is kind of gelling together. Like, we're getting Naya away from Andre Rashad. Like, we're getting LTW seems more stable. There's going to be something I think happening there. Miranda getting back to the city. Carrie like addressing her grief and moving forward. And Seema, they need to find something for Seema to do a little bit.
Yeah,
She could
she
just be fabulous, but she doesn't have any conflicts or anything other than she wants to get married eventually and find him. But she did that last season, so
agreed. Agreed. She needs to yeah, get back in the dating horse. I mean, she's a realtor. You could do a lot with that. She
mm-hmm.
could find a new hot thing um as like a client or something and like give it a little bit of selling sunset, you
Exactly.
know?
Not Joanne the scammer that she was with last
No,
below. That was a
none of
mess.
that. Like a real, ooh, she could like be dating, I don't know, a guy who works in like
A mogul of
producing the
some sort.
buildings
Yeah,
or
someone.
something. Yeah, we need to give something interesting with that. Um, yeah, Carrie in this book should be very interesting. There have I kind of wonder if there's going to be something more or the book is going to be like the main career. Like that's fine too. Um,
I think Big
yeah,
left her some money, so I don't think she's hurting for coin.
I don't think she's
Um,
certain at all.
So yeah, it's gonna be good now that Miranda's back. I think things will
Hmm.
start to gel a bit more.
Hmm. 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 Um, I am toying around of doing things like a BB moment, which is like a beautiful black moment. Did we get any of those in this
Mm.
episode?
I just really liked seeing Naya talk to LTW about like her career, like if they just had
Yeah.
like a cute camaraderie. I think that was like the only beautiful black moment that we got here, but it was something.
Mm-hmm.
It gave like you're a girl, I'm the girls, we see the girls, we see each
Yes.
other. We're
Yes.
black women with black women friends. Period.
Yes. Yes. I kind of liked when Dr. Nye was talking about Brian was like it was a little extra, wasn't it? I was like, yeah, that's the little zestiness that I'm trying to look for in these scenes. Um yeah, just chaotic bisexual. I can't actually that's the other thing I was thinking of doing is like what was the most chaotic bisexual moment?
Che
Um
yelling at Miranda in the freaking Warner Brothers lot or wherever they were.
yeah. That was tragic bisexual moment for sure. Oh, we didn't talk about Miranda's tattoo. Miranda got an MH
Oh,
on her wrist.
yeah, she got her initials and it was like, this is who I am. And she took
Mhm.
the guy's advice. I thought it was kind of stupid because, as my mom would say, you don't know your own name. But
Oh, that is such a mama comment.
that's just she always would say people got their names on themselves. But I appreciate it. It was that versus something completely absurd, like a simple thing. It's not for me,
Yeah.
but I'm glad that's what she chose.
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be symbolizing of her coming back to herself. She really wasn't trying to be on the Hobbes of it all. And now
Mm-hmm.
she's back in the Hobbes home. I don't know where Steve is, but he's probably tinkering around somewhere in that apartment. Highly doubt he moved out. And now we got Brady. So the Hobbes boys.
Back
Well,
together.
yeah. This was lovely. Definitely look forward to the next episode. As always, our episodes come out the morning after to give a little bit of break before spoilers. Aramide, is there anything you want our listeners or viewers to check out?
I don't know. You could just follow me on all the places, the Talktagram and what's the other one? The Talkgram. What's the other one? Oh, the Blue app, the Bird app. A word
Mm-hmm.
with the Aramide. I don't be doing nothing, child. I'm quite boring, but there I am.
Okay. And for me, I think you guys can definitely keep listening, keep watching. We're still covering Cruel Summer as our other part of the series. And something coming up is we're gonna do a little bit of cooking, y'all. Like
Oh,
maybe if Carrie wants to do some poached eggs, like we can too. So keep an eye out for that.
sounds good.
Good. All right. And have a good one. Bye. Mm-mm.